Bluto threw punches. Bluto kidnapped Olive. Bluto destroyed boats and fought Popeye on screen for nearly 50 years. Most viewers remember him as the villain, but hiding inside the same cartoons was a quieter, smiling, hamburger-obsessed character who caused far more damage in subtler ways. He betrayed friends, manipulated strangers, and walked away clean every single time. The brute everyone feared was nothing compared to the schemer no one suspected. Here are 15 times Wimpy was worse than Bluto. 1. Sold out his friends for a free meal. Bluto attacked Popeye for love, jealousy, or pride. Those motives, while terrible, at least made emotional sense. Wimpy's motive was always something far smaller: a free hamburger. Across countless Fleischer and Famous Studios cartoons, Wimpy would betray Popeye, switch alliances, or sabotage Olive's plans if doing so meant a sandwich appeared at the end of the deal. There was no emotional weight to his betrayals. He simply traded loyalty for ground beef. That cold transactional behavior is, in many ways, more disturbing than Bluto's open hostility. Bluto wanted something he could not have. Wimpy wanted lunch, and was willing to throw anyone under the bus to get it. The hamburger always won. The friendship always lost. Bluto's villainy was loud and visible. Wimpy's was hidden behind a polite smile and a request for 10 cents. He turned betrayal into a routine errand. 2. Let Popeye take the blame for his mistakes. Bluto rarely tried to pin his actions on someone else. He punched, he kidnapped, he stomped his way through cartoons taking full credit for his villainy. Wimpy operated differently. Across multiple shorts, the character would create chaos, eat something he was not supposed to, break a rule, or anger an authority figure, then quietly step aside while Popeye absorbed the consequences. Animation historians have noted that Wimpy's avoidance behavior was a recurring comedic device. The cartoons treated it as a joke, but step back from the laughter, and the pattern becomes uncomfortable. A man who consistently lets his friend take punishment for his own mistakes is not a harmless side character. He is a small parasite operating inside a friendship that should have included accountability. Bluto's fists left bruises. Wimpy's silence left Popeye holding the bag, again and again, with cheerful indifference. 3. Misled Olive Oyl, more often than the brute ever did. Bluto lied to Olive Oyl plenty of times, usually to win her affection or trick her into trusting him, but his lies were obvious, melodramatic, and quickly exposed. Wimpy was different. He delivered small, slippery lies almost constantly, frequently to Olive, often without any romantic motive. He invented excuses, exaggerated stories, denied eating food he had clearly eaten, and slipped out of conversations with charm rather than confrontation. Olive, who was always too kind for her own good, repeatedly fell for Wimpy's gentle dishonesty. Animation historians have noted that Wimpy's lies served his appetite more than any grand plan. He misled people in tiny ways every single day. Bluto's deception was loud and theatrical. Wimpy's deception was constant and quiet. Olive forgave both characters, but only one of them lied to her face about sandwiches, debts, and promises that meant nothing at all. 4. Stole food from hungry characters. Bluto attacked the strong. He went after Popeye, the toughest sailor in the harbor, again and again. There was something almost honorable about his choice of opponent. Wimpy targeted the weak. Throughout the classic cartoons, he repeatedly stole food from characters who had less than him, including small animals, children, and bystanders just trying to enjoy a quiet meal. The pattern is unmistakable. Whenever a hamburger appeared on screen, Wimpy moved toward it regardless of who owned it. Animation historians have pointed out how often the cartoons used this behavior as a casual gag. A character takes a bite, the bite disappears. Wimpy is wiping his mouth nearby. The victim looks confused. Then the cartoon moves on. Bluto picked fights with someone who could fight back. Wimpy preyed on people who could not. The polite hamburger thief was harder on the harbor than the loud bully. 5. Used children to get what he wanted. Bluto's villainy was almost always directed at adults. He fought Popeye, he chased Olive, he clashed with the sailors at the docks. Wimpy, on the other hand, occasionally drifted into a far darker pattern, using younger or smaller characters to acquire food, favors, or information. In several cartoons, Wimpy convinces a child character to share, fetch, or hand over something edible, then walks away without offering anything in return. The behavior is played for laughs but reads uncomfortably to modern viewers. Animation historians have noted that the cartoons rarely acknowledge the imbalance. The audience was simply expected to find Wimpy's exploitation charming. Bluto attacked equals. Wimpy borrowed trust from those who did not know better. The villain everyone feared at least had the decency to fight people his own size. The supposed friend everyone tolerated had no such limits when food was on the line. 6. Switched sides whenever it benefited him. Bluto was many things, but he was never inconsistent. From the first short to the last, he was Popeye's rival. The fight was eternal, and his loyalties never shifted. Wimpy had no loyalties at all. Across the cartoons, he sided with Popeye when it suited him, joined Olive's schemes when convenient, helped strangers if he expected food, and occasionally drifted toward whoever held the largest plate. Animation historians have pointed to this pattern as evidence of Wimpy's pure self-interest. He was not on Popeye's team, he was not on Bluto's team, he was on Wimpy's team, and Wimpy's team needed lunch. Bluto's villainy was at least predictable. Wimpy's loyalty was for sale, refreshable daily, and available to the highest bidder. The brute knew which side he was on. The friend made every viewer wonder where his real allegiance had quietly gone today. 7. Helped Popeye's enemies for personal gain. Bluto wanted Popeye to lose, which made sense for a villain. Wimpy, who was supposed to be Popeye's friend, occasionally helped Popeye's enemies behind his back, if doing so meant a free meal or a personal benefit. The behavior surfaces in multiple shorts, where Wimpy quietly aids an antagonist, provides information, or fails to warn Popeye about a danger he knows is coming. Animation historians have noted that the cartoons treated this betrayal as casual comedy, a wink, a shrug, a hamburger, everything resolved by the end. But the underlying pattern reveals something darker about Wimpy's character. The man who claimed friendship would discard that friendship the moment food entered the picture. Bluto was openly hostile. Wimpy was secretly conspiring with hostility, then sitting down to eat with Popeye afterward as if nothing had happened. That kind of betrayal cuts much deeper than punches. 8. Manipulated people without using force. Bluto's only tool was muscle. He punched, threw, and crushed his way through every problem. Wimpy never used force. He used social manipulation, charm, and constant verbal misdirection to get what he wanted. The famous catchphrase about gladly paying Tuesday for a hamburger today is itself a manipulation tactic. It deflects payment indefinitely, while extracting goods immediately. Animation historians have noted that Wimpy's verbal cleverness is far more effective than Bluto's brute strength at acquiring resources. He talks his way into meals, debts, favors, and protection arrangements that always benefit him at someone else's expense. Bluto used physical violence to take what he wanted. Wimpy used psychological pressure to make people give it to him. Both methods are predatory, but Wimpy's was harder to detect, harder to defend against, and harder to call out without sounding paranoid. The smiling manipulator caused more lasting damage than the loud bully. 9. Profited from other characters' misfortunes. Bluto rarely made money from his villainy. He fought for pride and lost most of the time. Wimpy quietly built small economic advantages out of other characters' suffering. When someone dropped food, Wimpy was there. When someone forgot their wallet, Wimpy was there. When someone fell into trouble that left their possessions unattended, Wimpy was there. Across the cartoons, his appetite always seemed to thrive in proportion to other characters' misfortune. Animation historians have noted that this pattern made Wimpy a kind of opportunistic scavenger, profiting from accidents and chaos without ever causing them himself directly. Bluto wanted olive oil. Wimpy wanted hamburgers. Bluto failed almost every time. Wimpy succeeded almost every time, often invisibly. The brute lost his fights. The friend collected leftovers and walked away well-fed while everyone else cleaned up the mess. He thrived in environments that hurt the people around him. 10. Repeatedly abandoned his friends. In dangerous situations, Bluto attacked Popeye directly. He stood in front of him, swung at him, and accepted whatever punches came back. Wimpy ran. When danger appeared in cartoons, Wimpy regularly vanished from the scene, leaving Popeye or Olive to handle threats alone. Animation historians have pointed to multiple shorts where Wimpy's first instinct in any crisis was self-preservation, even when his friends needed help. Bluto, for all his villainy, never abandoned a fight. He took his beating and came back the next short. Wimpy disappeared the moment things got difficult, and reappeared the moment things got safe. That kind of friendship is its own kind of betrayal. The brute showed up for every confrontation. The friend showed up only for meals. When the chips were down, Popeye could count on Bluto being where he was supposed to be. Wimpy was always somewhere else. 11. Took credit for things he never did. Bluto never pretended to be anything other than what he was. He took credit only for his actual fights, his actual villainy, and his actual losses. Wimpy frequently took credit for events he had nothing to do with. In several cartoons, when Popeye saved the day, Wimpy quietly absorbed some of the praise. When food was distributed, Wimpy claimed contributions he had not made. When stories were told later, Wimpy positioned himself as a key participant in moments he had actively avoided. Animation historians have noted that this credit-taking behavior fits Wimpy's broader pattern of social manipulation. He shaped narratives to benefit himself, regardless of the truth. Bluto bragged about what he had actually done. Wimpy bragged about what other people had done, hoping the listeners would forget who had actually been responsible. Honest villainy at least came with honesty. Wimpy's friendship came with quiet revisionism. 12. Created problems just to profit from them later. Bluto's villainy was reactive. Popeye and Olive existed, so Bluto attacked them. Wimpy was occasionally proactive. In some shorts, the character would create small problems, manipulate situations, or arrange minor chaos specifically because the resolution would benefit him. A misplaced ingredient, a confused order, a small misunderstanding between Olive and Popeye. Each one created an opening for Wimpy to step in, mediate, and walk away with a hamburger as compensation. Animation historians have pointed out that this strategic problem creation gives Wimpy a more calculating character profile than fans typically remember. He was not always a passive observer. Sometimes he was the quiet engineer of the chaos around him. Bluto smashed things openly. Wimpy nudged things into broken positions and waited for someone else to ask him for help. The brute caused destruction. The friend caused destruction and got paid for fixing it. 13. Betrayed allies. The moment food was involved, Bluto had no allies, so he could not betray any. Wimpy had Popeye, Olive, and a wide cast of harbor friends. He betrayed all of them, repeatedly, whenever food entered the equation. The betrayals were small and forgivable individually. A snack borrowed without permission, a meal eaten that was meant for someone else, a favor reversed at the last moment because a better offer appeared. But across an entire filmography of cartoons, the pattern becomes overwhelming. Animation historians have noted that Wimpy's friendships were genuinely conditional, in ways that Bluto's enmity never was. Bluto was reliably hostile. Wimpy was unreliably friendly, with reliability depending entirely on the availability of hamburgers. The villain was honest about his villainy. The friend hid his betrayals inside warm conversations and polite manners. Both characters caused harm. Only one of them pretended he was on your side while doing it. 14. Escaped punishment, while others paid the price. Bluto took countless beatings throughout his career. Every cartoon ended with him bruised, defeated, and humiliated. Wimpy almost never faced consequences. Across decades of shorts, the character moved through his world without paying any real price for his manipulations, his betrayals, or his free hamburgers. The chefs grumbled, the waiters complained, the friends muttered, but nothing ever stuck. Animation historians have noted that this immunity from consequences is one of Wimpy's strangest character traits. He behaves badly and walks away clean every time. Bluto suffered for his villainy in every short. Wimpy benefited from his behavior in every short. The cartoon universe treated the loud bully as someone who deserved punishment, but treated the polite schemer as someone who deserved leniency. That moral imbalance is part of what makes Wimpy's character so unsettling on reflection. The bully always lost, the smiler always won. 15. Was the only character who never truly learned a lesson. Bluto learned, in his own way. He lost every fight, and the cartoons made sure he understood why. Popeye was the strongest. The spinach was the source. The lesson repeated every short. Even Olive Oyl learned, growing slightly more cautious about who she trusted. Wimpy never learned anything. From his first appearance to his last, the character carried the exact same behaviors, the exact same schemes, and the exact same manipulations. No experience changed him, no friendship shaped him, no consequence reformed him. Animation historians have noted that Wimpy's static character arc was unusual even for 1930s cartoons. Most characters showed at least small growth over the years. Wimpy was frozen, he wanted hamburgers, he manipulated friends, he escaped accountability, and he repeated the cycle endlessly. Bluto, despite being a villain, eventually changed across the decades. Wimpy stayed exactly what he had always been, forever. Bluto was loud, hostile, and easy to recognize as a villain. Wimpy was polite, charming, and far harder to defend against. He betrayed friends, manipulated strangers, profited from chaos, and walked away clean every time. The brute fought openly. The schemer smiled. Behind every famous cartoon bully stood a quieter character whose damage was deeper, subtler, and ultimately more troubling than any punch ever thrown.